So we're going to make a very quick chicken curry, and you can make the same with pork, with lamb, with beef, whatever. This is very basic, but without getting into grinding your own spices and so on and so forth, which we all love to do. Sometimes we don't have the time, and so we will use a proprietary spice mix. So shallots and onions, same family, alliums. Shallots normally used for more delicate things when you're preparing a sauce. We use some in our risotto in a minute, but these are to hand, so I'm going to use these. So I'm going to chop them quite large. Because after I've chopped them like that, I'm going to put them on the bench. I'm going to take a bit of ginger, fresh ginger, not powdered, please, because they're completely different animals. This adds zing and freshness to your dish, whereas ground ginger, it has its time and place, but not here for this today. A couple of cloves of garlic. And this is the sort of trinity of a curry. They often talk about trinities in food. In Thailand it's sort of lemongrass and coriander and fish sauce. You know, different places, different trinities. I'm actually going to use some ghee, but I doubt very many kitchens at home are going to have any ghee in them. So a mixture of our universal oil and maybe a bit of butter as well. Ghee is butter that has been clarified, and by that I mean it's been heated and all the water and the impurities have been taken out. So we will often in a restaurant, we will clarify our own butter, and you just pile a load of butter in a pan and you heat it till it separates, and you get this white sort of crackly froth on the top, and then a white sort of milky liquid in the bottom. And that's the stuff that makes your butter burn. So if you get rid of that, like this, it's got what we call a high smoke point. So you can heat it to a higher temperature before it starts to smoke and obviously burn. So chicken thighs, again, very forgiving. And you can see it's got fat and sinew and all sorts all the way through it. That's what you want. So again, you don't want to cut it too small. You want people to recognize that they're actually eating something. And probably 1.5 chicken thighs per person, or if people are not too hungry, or if you're having lots of other things with your dish, then 1 chicken thigh per person would probably do fine. If we want to have a look in this pot now, this has been going for about an hour. You see the colour's gone a bit darker. It's still very liquid, which is fine because it's still got a good another hour to cook. And then at that point we're going to take the lid off to let some of the liquid evaporate, and it'll thicken the sauce as it goes. I'm just leaving a little gap there for a little bit of steam to come out. So chicken in the oven, it's beginning to cook. We're going to leave that for a wee bit longer. I'm going to take the macaroni cheese out now because that'll be done. So there we are, 1 macaroni cheese. I think that is good enough to eat. And that with a lovely fresh salad, maybe some olive oil on the salad, maybe a little bit of vinaigrette to cut the richness, because this is going to be quite rich. You've got pasta, you've got cheese, and you've got a butter, flour and milk sauce, and then the bacon just to give you another texture on top, nice and crunchy. And yeah, that's a winner. And macaroni, fantastic. I used to have a restaurant where we did lobster, we did crab, we did fish, we did all sorts, and you know, it's just a good thing. But you do need a salad on the side, for me, and a bit of lemon juice on the salad. So our triumvirate, our trio of flavours is in there cooking away. I'm going to put all my chicken in. Wish it all around, let it cook for a few minutes. This is not bad. And we can make it hot. We're going to make this a little bit hot. So we've got some fresh chili here. Now the heat is in the seeds and this bit here. This is the membrane, and that's where the capsaicin, I think it's called capsaicin. Anyway, the chili bit, it's all in there. It's not in this bit so much. Anyway, we're going to chuck it all in. Because it's all good stuff. So we've got a curry powder. This is a medium. So already mixed for you. That's a tablespoon and a half probably. Oh, I can smell that coming out already. So we're going to allow that to cook for a minute or two. Again, like flour, you need to cook your spices out a little bit, because otherwise they'll taste raw, and you want them not to taste raw. So just, again, our friend the tomatoes. We're going to put tomatoes in this one. And once we've got the tomatoes in, when it's cooked, we will finish it with a little bit of cream and then a little bit of yogurt. So it's almost like a buttered chicken, chicken tikka masala. You know, technically you should marinate the meat first in yogurt and spices, and you should have whole separate spice going in. But this isn't about purism, this is about cooking ourselves a nice meal, and this is exactly what we'll do. About a half a can of water, just enough to cover everything. Some salt. And we'll let that cook away until the chicken is cooked, it's reduced and thickened a bit. Then we'll add some cream and a bit of yogurt. Some fresh coriander on the top at the end, very nice. Just to add another note of flavour. And maybe as you serve it, squeeze of fresh lime. Cut a lime in half and squeeze that over the top of it, just as you're serving it out. And then you could have that just with naans, or you could have it with rice and dal and all the other bits that go with it. So you can use this for pork, beef, lamb. You can put different curry mixes in, but this is your basic, very basic, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night curry. I might encourage you to do a bit more on a weekend when you've got a bit more time. But for a quick meal. This is quick and it's filling, tasty and inexpensive, which is all good. So this is the tray bake at the moment, which is beginning to look nice. The potato is very nearly cooked through, so I think we just want to move everything around a little bit. You can see how it's produced a lovely bit of jus all of its own, so that'll be chickeny, garlicky, oniony, peppery. So I'm going to add a few little dry chili flakes because I like it, and a couple of sprigs of thyme. Get that in any supermarket. Few tomatoes there, few tomatoes there, and a few more tomatoes there. So that's all going back in the oven, and in another 10 minutes or so that should all be cooked through, and either, as I say, serve it up as a meal straight off, or we're going to put some of it, we're going to break some of this down, squish some of it up and put it in a tortilla for a wrap. Okay, in it goes. So we're now going to make a basic soup. You're never going to be starving if you've got soup. Jewish people have got a nice saying, things go better with soup. And it's true. Not all through the year, but when it comes to the autumn and the winter, nice bowl of soup, some lovely crispy bread on the side, lots of lovely butter on that. It's a very good thing. Warms the heart, sticks to the ribs. Okay, so I'm going to use just a half an onion for this, and because we're going to blitz the thing later, I'm just chopping it pretty rough. Put some of the oil in the pan. Turn that up a bit. So, leek and potato. Many other soups, they're thickened with flour. Now, I don't particularly like soups that have been thickened with flour, so I tend to thicken them with potato. And so this is a Maris Piper, and it breaks down very nicely. It makes a very good mash, and so to break down very nicely in your soup. So all of this just roughly chopped. That can go in with the onions. Probably use a half a potato for this amount. Let's just split it again there, and then cut it into itty bitty little bits. Put them all in, get a bit of heat going when we can, when this decides to come round to our way. By no means classic, but it's what I like because I like garlic. We're going to have some garlic in this. I love the way that comes off. Just so simple. Now with this, because it is potato and leek, it's going to be part stock and part milk, because that'll, you know, add another sort of a creamy element to it. I'm going to put some pepper in there now. When I was at college they said, oh, don't use black pepper, use white pepper, something pale, because it looks like somebody's, you know, tapped their cigar ash into it. Well, I don't care. I'd rather it tasted nice than worry about There's a black specks. So we just let that do its thing for a moment, and we'll talk through the next item on the agenda, which is a risotto. So for some reason, I was terrified of risotto for a very long time, and I don't know why. I was in the fashion business for a number of years, and I used to work in Italy a lot. And of course, the risottos there are something fabulous. And for some reason, I never cooked them because I thought, oh, they look so complicated. It's something I'm going to get wrong. And I was trained as a chef, for goodness sake. And then I did one once, and they're the easiest thing in the world. And they're probably one of the ultimate comfort foods. So this is going to be a mushroom risotto, and I pre-prep my mushrooms. So these are chestnut mushrooms, so they give a bit more flavour than a button mushroom, which can be a bit bland. They've also got a nice colour to them, so that'll add a nice colour to the risotto. I've got cannaroli rice, which is a classic Italian risotto rice, and it's a very starchy thing. It's a bit like pudding rice, we make rice pudding from in this country, and shallots and a little bit of thyme. Thyme appears quite a lot. So we want those relatively small, a small dice, because it's got then a lot of surface area, and the more surface area, the more flavour is going to come out. It seems pretty obvious to me. As we did before with the potato, you got more area of crunch, which is a good thing. So this doesn't need anything more than stirring around a few times. We're going to add in some stock. So I've got a stock cube. They're very good, made by it says one stock cube makes a pint of stock. It does, but it's quite weak stock, so I like to have a bit more than that. So you can of course use a vegetable. This is chicken stock. You can use a vegetable stock. There's a company called Marigold. They make a very good vegetarian bouillon. It comes in a powder, and they do a vegan one as well. Although they do. So we've got 450 ml of stock, and we've got 100 ml of water of milk in there. So that just needs to come up to the boil. We'll turn it down to simmer it, and that'll simmer for about half an hour, and then we're going to get the stick blender out and we'll blend it. You can of course eat it, as it is like that. Some people like to have it like that, or you can put the stick blender in and blitz some of it to make it thicker and creamier, and leave some of the bits whole. That's going to need a little bit of salt, not too much at this time. We finish off the seasoning later. There's one thing I was always taught: whatever food you've got, you season it as it goes into the oven, into a pan, and then you season it again as it comes out. And that way you're never going to over season it. Well, hopefully not. So that's how the tray bake comes out. Now, to me, that looks
ginger and spring onions.
You could put ginger and spring onions and maybe soy sauce on that, and then you've got something which is, it's not truly Oriental, but it's going to have a really good Oriental flavour. The tomatoes still work with that. The peppers still work with that. The red onions still work with that, and well, if you want potatoes because you like potatoes, I'll just put them in. So what we're going to do, take a fork, move that to the side a bit, take one of the, oh, listen to that, crispy, that's what we like. So I'm going to take that off because we're going to stick that in the tortilla as well, and then just shred this off with a fork. I'm going to put that in the pan, just straight down on the heat. See all the little bubbles coming up. And this, on a ridge pan, it'll probably get some ridge marks on the bottom as well. Yeah, there we go with the ridge marks. So, I'm going to put that down on there. Switch that right down, put the stock back on. So we put some chicken in. For me, because I love it, we're going to do a little bit of fresh chili, give it a bit of zinging. Some tomatoes, just pluck those off and just crush them down. Take that bit of stalk off. Another couple in there, I think. Okay, some red onion, some pepper, a bit more red onion, bit more pepper. So the garlic is now super soft, and we just squeeze that out. Bit of yogurt. I'm going to put a squeeze of lime juice over this. And last but not least, just because I absolutely love it, this is a Portuguese chili sauce, so it's quite vinegary. Just a bit of that over the top, and that'll really pep up the heat. And there we go. A nice tortilla. And so you've made 2 meals out of that one immediately, because there's a meal all by itself and there's a different type of meal out of the same pan. And that took what? That probably took 30 minutes to cook. And you know, these are 60-70 pence each, something like that. So it's an inexpensive meal. And there we are. Chicken, peppers, sauce, yogurt, chili, red onions, and a bit of carbohydrate on the side, or it's all wrapped in carbohydrate. So that's a pretty good dinner, really. Okay, so we're going to finish off the curry, which has thickened down quite a bit now. We're going to finish it off with, I would say that's probably 2 tablespoons of cream. Then garam masala. This is, you don't cook with garam masala, it's like a finishing spice. So it's very fragrant, and you just want, that's probably a sort of a large teaspoon. And you just stir it in at the end. And it's got lots of beautiful flavours, which freshens up at the end. This is also quite a good curry. You can put potatoes in this. Help bulks it out, and potatoes in curry for me is a very nice combination, especially if you've got a bit of rice as well. I like those 2 carbohydrates together. So this is all well cooked now. Then at the very end, I'll put a bit of yogurt. And for a little bit of zing. Entirely optional, of course. A little bit of chili over the top. And if you have some fresh coriander, just a couple of sprigs. So this is actually parsley, but if it was coriander, we just have a couple of sprigs over the top like that. Bit of rice, bit of naan on the side. And that's what? That's about 20-25 minutes to cook that dish. And again, chicken thighs, very, very inexpensive. Good value dinner. Okay.